Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Thursday, December 19, 2024, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Fulton County DA Fani Willis is disqualified and her entire office disqualified from prosecuting Donald Trump and the other defendants in the Georgia 2020 election scandal. We'll tell you about this fallout. Well, guess what? There's a deal in Congress to continue funding after President-elect Elon Musk said, hey, I don't like this deal. Yeah, we're going to tell you all about that. Folks, President Biden in his final days attacks climate change. Also, we'll talk about all the other drama happening in the nation's capital. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Well, folks, after President-elect Elon Musk tweeted out Donald Trump followed him, the Republicans scuttled the bipartisan agreement they had to continue paying for the government. Now they have a new bill that stripped out a lot of the other priorities. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic leader, he spoke about all the silliness happening on Capitol Hill because of the back and forth with these Republicans.
About the harm that House Republicans will do to the American people if the government shuts down. Families will be hurt. Farmers will be hurt. Everyday Americans whose lives were turned upside down by extreme weather events like hurricanes and floods and wildfires will be hurt if they don't get the relief that they need and deserve to improve their quality of life. If the government shuts down, holiday travel will be impacted. The ability of everyday Americans to visit their family, their friends, their loved ones will be impacted. Border security and Border Patrol agents will not be paid. TSA agents will not be paid. Small businesses will be hurt in every single community in this country. This reckless Republican-driven shutdown can be avoided if House Republicans will simply do what is right for the American people and stick with the bipartisan agreement that they themselves negotiated.
Folks, this is a live look on Capitol Hill right now as this conversation continues. It's a whole lot of back and forth that's taking place on Capitol Hill. And so now what you have, of course, again, as I said, there was an agreement. But then Elon Musk decided to tweet that he didn't like the deal. Republicans then began to cave, began to cower. As a result, Donald Trump then began to say, oh, he didn't like the deal as well. And so that was Minority Hakeem Jeffries. Now, he then went to the floor and talked about, I'm sorry, how the Republicans going to try to school somebody on fiscal conservatism when Donald Trump did this?
In our nation's 248-year history, 25% of our nation's debt was accumulated during the 4 years of the former president. 25%. How dare you lecture America about fiscal responsibility, ever? And then President Biden comes to office gets big things done for the American people on infrastructure, on the CHIPS and Science Act, standing up a clean energy economy, rescuing America from a once-in-a-century pandemic, gets all of these big things done, partnering with House Democrats and Senate Democrats, and in the process, in his first 2 years, reduces the deficit by $1.7 trillion. And so we see a very clear pattern. The facts speak for themselves. Democrats are the party of getting things done and fiscal responsibility. Republicans are the party of massive tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, which...
Again, so let's unpack this, y'all. We talk about the tax bill that was pushed through by Trump when he was there last time, added 25%. 25% to the federal debt. But now they're running around trying to educate folk on when it comes to the economy. What a particular joke. So and what Jeffries is saying is like, okay, you know what? Y'all want to do this? The onus is on y'all. Y'all do this here. Y'all get to work. And that's exactly what it should be. It's like, okay, now it's all your ball game. Let's talk about this with our panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Joy Cheney, strategist. Glad to have both of y'all here. I mean, here's the reality, Greg. And I saw this tweet from Eric Erickson. He was like, you know, why is it Biden doing more to solve this problem? That was a bipartisan deal. President-elect Elon Musk, and that's the real deal. And here's what Americans had better understand. The United States, if you thought the oligarchs before controlled public policy, absolutely, public policy in America is now going to be determined by tweets.
It looks that way, to the tune of over 150 since 4 day in the morning yesterday. Where's Junior Varsity Vance, by the way? You know, he's gone quiet, so I'm wondering if he's down there over at Steve Bannon's townhouse in the shadow of Capitol Hill, plotting and planning for the great takeover. This is a preview, of course, of what's going to happen beginning in January. Of course, they want to get rid of the debt ceiling because they're getting ready to pay these billionaires off with our tax money and borrow the United States into oblivion. Now, the Democrats aren't, you know, fiscal hawks. This goes back to Bill Clinton and triangulation and DLC and trying to, you know, show themselves to be centrist, so to speak. But Bernie Sanders got it right today. The richest man on earth, President Elon Musk, doesn't like it. Will Republicans kiss the ring? Billionaires must not be allowed to run our government. Well, guess what? Billionaires have been running it for quite some time. And thanks to John Boy Roberts in 2010 with Citizens United and unfettered access, Elon Musk has the cheat code. It's not even a cheat code anymore because there aren't any rules now, Roman.
There aren't any rules. Enjoy, folks. Just need to go ahead and get used to it. And it's like, okay, since, you know, y'all want to run the whole show, and since these Americans said, let's have them run the show, have at it.
Yeah, we're going to find out. You know, you messed around and you're going to find out. We don't have a democracy anymore. It feels much more like an oligarchy. And frankly, this is going to lead to a lot of chaos because eventually Donald Trump is going to get sick of Elon Musk, you know, stealing his thunder. Who even knows if he even knew what Elon was going to do before he did it, and that now he has to save face. And it's their silly, immature dynamics are now changing what our whole government is doing. And let's be clear, Joe Biden did his job in that he had a Democratic Senate and a Republican House that came up with a deal that we only have one president at a time. President Joe Biden, they have a deal under him that he was willing to sign. Donald Trump should have just simply walked away, allowed it to be signed, and then he could have said whatever the hell he wanted afterwards. But to try to get in the way of the deal because some oligarch said that that's what you have to do is completely irresponsible. And I don't think we just need to hear from Jeffries. I think we need to hear from the president on this. And by that, I mean President Biden. We need to hear what is going on. Every moment in the United States is important. We got all the way to January 20th. We need everyone's voice on this. This is no way to run a country. We had a deal. It should have been honored.
Yeah, but look, of course there was a deal, but the bottom line is they want to exert their influence. And Republicans still control the House. That's just a fact. And so it's like, and again, you know what? That's how y'all want to roll. But I need everybody understanding. And this is what people had better get used to, Greg. There's going to be more of this. You are going to see a lot more of this. You are going to see the Elon Musk of the world, the Vivek Ramaswamy and the others making policy. And there's going to be that inevitable clash with Donald Trump. And we'll see how that ends up. But as that, what was that video, Homeboy of the Hotel? It's above me now.
And making policy via tweet.
Yeah, it's I tell you, like you said, Joy, it's chaos. And, when we think about this legislation that had been agreed to, I mean, there are little things like people here in the DMV, the idea that the federal government would turn over control of Robert Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. Stadium so that the Washington Commanders might be able to build a new complex there. I don't watch NFL football anymore since Kaepernick, but there are a lot of people out there who be like, oh, my God, it seems like a small thing. But the point is this. If they can't, well, they're not going to honor their word because honor means nothing. But if they can't go ahead and push this through because Musk is screaming, then, as you say, this is a preview of January. The MAGA Muppet Mike Johnson, is likely to lose his speakership. We saw what happened when they tried to elect the speaker the last time, and Matt Gaetz damn near getting choked out and Byron Donalds getting the back of his head palmed, still waiting on his presidential hell. They put Herschel Walker in an ambassadorship before this manservant, as Lauren Victoria Burke would call him, got a call. But, I think most importantly, and I don't know what y'all think about this, it seems like maybe the key to this, with all the noise notwithstanding, is to get this debt ceiling gone for 2 years. So they can basically just run up the bill. But like you said, in terms of a preview, in that hillbilly horde in Congress, people like Chip Roy and them, Thomas Massey out of Kentucky, those cats ain't gonna vote for nothing that adds a penny to anything. So they're gonna have to have Democratic votes. And, as Hakeem Jeffries is kind of being eloquent about it in a very temperate sense, but Jasmine Crockett said, what she said, I guess you probably show it in a minute, your homie talking about this. The Democrats shouldn't lift a finger. Let this pain be redistributed, as Minister Farrakhan or Martin Luther King, for that matter, would say. Redistribute the pain.
Well, absolutely. Guys, get that Jasmine Crockett clip. She was on MSNBC talking about this, and she's right. And people just need to realize the level of stupidity. We're going to see a bunch of this over the next 2 years. So just buckle up, roll a clip.
This is not like one of the most senior members, right? So basically, he had not burned enough bridges, and so they had to go way, way down in seniority to find someone that they could come to a consensus on. When they swear in January, or when we all try to swear in January, listen, there's going to be less Republicans than we had in the 118th, right? Because the story has not really been told about how strongly House Democrats performed while the Republicans won the White House, while they ended up picking up so many seats in the Senate. Who lost seats? The House, right? Now, should we have a Speaker Jeffries? Absolutely. If North Carolina didn't cheat and take away our seats, we would have a Speaker Jeffries, and we would not be in this situation. But here's the deal. There is no fixing this without the Democrats. We have seen this over and over, and I'm just going to sit back and sip my tea and wait on them to figure it out.
Or maybe sip something stronger. I'm just saying it. Hakeem Jeffries, you
check out this response from Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Where are you on this negotiation?
We had many weeks of negotiation with the Republicans. We arrived at a bipartisan legislative compromise. The Senate Democrats, the Senate Republicans, the House Democrats, the House Republicans, everybody agreed. And then it was blown up by Elon Musk, who apparently has become the fourth branch of government. And that's just an intolerable way of proceeding underrepresented democracy. So the Democrats are going to try to figure out how we can salvage the public good out of the wreckage that has just been foisted upon us.
But do you think that there's a scenario where you might regret rejecting a clean debt ceiling increase? I mean, that's what they've added to this.
We're going to discuss this in our caucus, and we'll figure out what to do. It's just horrific that they have thrust us into this kind of chaos already, and they haven't even taken over yet.
Some Republicans are saying they've done their part now, that what comes next is up to you, and if this doesn't get passed and the government shuts down, the Democrats are going to own this.
Yeah, they did their part by entering into a legislative compromise with us, which we negotiated over a several-month period. We arrived at the compromise, and that's what we've all been behind, and that's what we expect to go forward. So who is our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, supposed to negotiate with? Is it Mike Johnson? Is he the Speaker of the House? Or is it Donald Trump? Or is it Elon Musk? Or is it somebody else? So we got to try to figure out how to salvage some kind of public interest out of the wreckage that they've just put upon us. Thanks.
Well, a great point. I love that. So who's supposed to negotiate with? Is it you, Mike? Is it Don? Is it Elon? Which one of y'all?
Yeah, and we've been here before. I mean, we have been here before. This is what happened with the immigration deal. This is what's happened with previous debt ceiling deals. You make a deal with the Republican, and then they are like, we're good to go. We've got a deal. And then they get a tweet or they get a message from Donald Trump that says, don't make that deal. That does not instill trust. So you cannot make a deal with them. The Democrats should not engage in any more deal making with this particular Republican Party until they understand that when you give your word, you know, Mike Johnson is a man of faith. Or at least he says so. What else is a man other than his word, or a woman for that matter? When you give your word and you say we're done, we're ready to vote and to go to the Senate, and then you get a tweet from someone else? Not even the president of not even the leader of your party in this case, but even if it had been, he's not in the House, he's not in the Senate. No deal was made with him. And you clearly had a go-ahead, because don't believe that Mike Johnson would have said okay to this deal if he did not have a go-ahead from Donald Trump. This was Elon Musk and Donald Trump being too impotent to then say, hey, Elon, back off. Elon got out in front, and that's what we have to deal with. We're going to have a very wealthy person who knows he can embarrass the president of the United States. He can get out in front of the president of the United States, and he can blow up a deal in Washington. That's what happened. That's what's going to happen more, and that is incredibly concerning for the state of our democracy. The American people have made a gross mistake. So when we say some of you are a little stupid, that's because we knew this was going to happen. We told you, and you chose to do it differently. But everyone on this call will be fine.
Well, and again, hey, Greg, that's what they wanted. They wanted this. They voted for it. They wanted it. And you're going to get exactly what you voted for. And here's the deal. When the new Congress is sworn in, the Republicans' margin is going to be even smaller. It's even smaller. And so if I'm, like I keep saying, if I'm Congressman Jeffries, I'm sitting there keeping my caucus at bay, and I'm like, let them do all the work. Don't come look at us. Y'all got the majority. Go to work.
It's going to be tough, Roland. I mean, Musk, I think according to reports, the first tweet was about 4:15 Wednesday morning. So he's another up all night guy. This bill must not pass. And then he starts with the disinformation. And again, when we finally have an honest, if there's still United States, honest conversation about the election, the two major issues that are going to emerge will be voter suppression and disinformation. That's how they were able to steal this thing in the first place, to get in this position. But then he's tweeting out that in the bill is $3 billion for Washington, D.C. to purchase the football stadium site. It's a lie. It's pure disinformation. Now, that has pissed off some of these white nationalists in Congress who are fiscal hawks, like Congressman Thompson out of Pennsylvania. You know, he's like, wait a minute, this guy doesn't have a voting card. And so, as you say, this already razor-thin majority, which is going to get smaller when they reach in and dip in for these administrative appointments, executive branch appointments, you know, you're going to see, I mean, hell, it's bad enough to have the Nut Caucus over there, the Andy Biggs and all them, the so-called Freedom Caucus, reminiscent of when this thing became an issue in the first place. The debt ceiling has been passed pro forma over 100 times since 1939, and it only became an issue in 1939 when the federal government clawed back some authority they had given to the Department of Treasury to do this, but it really became an issue when Newt Gingrich, who's still running around after he threw the rock and hit his damn hand in 1995 and 96 when they put that on Bill Clinton. So this is all part of the same white nationalist backlash to the civil rights and black power movement in the 1960s and 70s. The whole contract with America. This is when this thing became an issue in the first place, but they can't hold this coalition together. Now, will the Democrats sit on the sidelines? Who knows? Who knows? Because Jamie Raskin is now going to move over to Judiciary to chair the Judiciary Committee. And in his place, when they try to advance Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they put the 74-year-old dude in. I mean, the Democrats still don't seem to be clear about what their political agenda is going to be. But at least in this moment, they should STFU, sit back and watch this thing implode. Because these Republicans, one thing about them, there are some of them who really don't like the idea of this open interference. And Musk is going to overplay his hand. He's shown he has no impulse control. He's not a genius. He's inherited a bunch of stuff. And now he is making his money literally out of our pockets, which is why they want to get rid of the debt ceiling in the first place. They can keep borrowing and then put it on our credit card. But, you know, some of these people on the Republican side really don't like this. And I doubt they are going to stand up and salute. While the majority of them will, not enough of them may do it in order for them to do anything.
Well, I am going to thoroughly watch the implosion take place. And it's going to happen, and I shall do it with glee. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll come back and talk about Fulton County DA Fani Willis. We knew this was going to happen. She cannot move forward prosecuting Donald Trump. She's been removed from the case. In fact, all of her assistant DAs, her entire office. What the hell? We'll break it down next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, 'tis the season, tree trimming, party going, and gift giving. And I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and sometimes it's just downright exhausting. Surviving the holiday season, we got tips for you for staying sane, solvent, striving, and thriving, and sometimes keeping a little money in your pocket.
2 things just out of the gate: set boundaries and set a budget.
On a next A Balanced Life right here on Black Star Network with me, Dr. Jackie.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. There's a lot of talk about the inevitability of another civil war in this country. But on our next show, we'll talk to a noted author and scholar who says we're actually in the middle of one right now. In fact, Steve Phillips says the first one that started back in 1861, well, it never ended.
People carrying the Confederate flag, wearing sweatshirts saying MAGA Civil War, January 6, 2021, stormed the U.S. Capitol, hunted down the country's elected officials, built a gallows for the Vice President of the United States, and to block the peaceful transfer of power within this country.
On the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, folks, let's talk about what happened in Georgia, where the Court of Appeals made a decision removing Fulton County DA from the prosecution of Donald Trump. All of this as a result of the Nathan Wade saga, someone she was involved with, and all of that drama. Trump and other defendants in the case had argued Willis profited from hiring Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, with whom she had a romantic relationship, and that it gave the elected district attorney an impermissible stake in the prosecution. The defense failed to prove an actual conflict of interest, but that the appearance of impropriety makes this a rare case. This is one of the stories that it had been gone back and forth, and of course, once it became public, that sidetracked the entire prosecution, that led to various hearings, and so what it did was it gave Donald Trump exactly what he wanted, and that is, it gave them time to back off. Now, here's the issue here that also jumps out. And this is really the problem with the Georgia Court of Appeals decision. Not only is she removed, her office is removed. We're now talking about a red state. So what now happens? Who does the Attorney General appoint a special prosecutor? Oh, the AG is a Republican. So this case may actually die. And so this is, again, just what is crazy with this whole thing. And I was very clear, and there are some people who hit me and they said, oh my God, Roland, I think you're wrong. I'm gonna say it again. We are here because of Fani Willis's decision. In this case here, I don't care what anybody says. If you're trying to convict a former occupant of the Oval Office, everything has got to be clean. There cannot be a blemish on anybody on the team. It doesn't matter. And common sense says, sorry, boo, you can't be on the team. No, you cannot. I don't care what anybody says. And so this is not, oh, well, this is attacking her. No, it's not. She made this call, and that's why we're where we are right now. J. Edward Shipp, his attorney, joins us right now. All right, J. Edwards, what do you make of this? Is this any surprise?
It's not a surprise. Well, I take that back. It is a surprise coming from the Court of Appeals that actually went against the rules that they had set not even 3 years ago, saying that just an appearance of impropriety is not enough to disqualify an office. So let's start there. Now they're bending the rules for their favorite candidate and saying, hey, I guess this appearance can be used to disqualify this office. And the dissent spells it out and says, you guys, in 2021, we had something like this come up, and we chose not to, bend the rules for this particular individual. And now, just because you don't like the outcome of how this is all played out, now you're bending the rules and saying, we're going to bend the knee and we're going to allow the office to be disqualified. Is it going to go to the Supreme Court? My bets are on yes. But again, it's surprising to see that the Court of Appeals would go against tradition, precedent, stare decisis, and say, yeah, we're wrong. Actually, we're going to allow this office to be disqualified.
But why? Why is it a surprise? If you are a blue dot in a sea of red, you gotta make sure your stuff is tight where you give nobody an opportunity to rule the way they ruled.
It's a surprise because so many times we have watched people say, well, we're going to go to the rule of law. The rule of law is what's always been shoved down our throats by the Republican side. Let's follow the rule of law. And that's even what happened in this particular case. The trial judge said, yes, there is an odor of mendacity at this case. We're looking at, the person who testified. Yeah, they're probably lying. But again, I have found it not to be improper, so I'm not going to disqualify her. And then you had the Court of Appeals say, hey, I know we never change what the trial court says. We always go to the trial court's discretion because they are the people who actually heard the testimony, were right there at the time. We're going to go and change that. That's a surprise to us.
Here's why it's not a surprise to me. We see it with the Supreme Court. We actually see it, which is why, for me, You never do anything to put yourself in a position to where it has to go where somebody else is now determining the rules. That's where it is. Let me go to my panel here, Joy, Greg. Joy, I want to start with you. Joy, I've had a couple of people text me and they were like, you should be defending the system. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. If I was the Fulton County DA, I'm saying to everybody on the team, if you got even a smidgen of a problem, tell me right now, and I'm probably going to boot you off the team.
I think that's right. I'm texting right now with a friend who's a lawyer in Fulton County, and they agree. This was a mistake, and I've always said it, that Fani Willis, despite how proud we were of her and her toughness and her flair and her competence as an attorney, she made a huge personal error in judgment, a personal error that was also a professional error in judgment. And then she compounded it by once it was out there, and perhaps being unfairly blown up, whatever. We're not naive. That is, of course, what's going to happen. If any of us had a prosecutor who had a relationship with another prosecutor on the case, we would bring it up too. We're going to be adults here. We would all bring it up. Any defendant would bring it up. But once it's brought up, and even if it's unfair, she should have recused herself. Not just the other man, I'm forgetting his name right now. She should have recused herself. If she had done that early on, we might have been able to put it behind us. She would not have become the story, and we could have saved so that her office could have continued with the case. But instead, that did not happen.
And the thing here, Greg,
it's been a problem.
And Greg, because of this decision, the case may be over. I mean, this is what happens when it's taken out of your hands, and you gotta play chess. You gotta be thinking forward and going, okay, they're gonna do this. They're gonna do everything they can to try to end this, take it out of my hands. I can't give them anything.
No, but I'll be honest with you though, brother. I can't get that animated. About it, and just for a simple reason. If it wasn't this, it was going to be something else. And I agree with you 100%. I'm with you 100% that there should have been no hint of impropriety. And of course, there are people who remember when Fani Willis, as a young assistant district attorney in 2013, used that same RICO statute against school superintendent Beverly Hall and all those black school teachers down there, And so I know that's an issue as well. But as Brother Shipp said, there's no precedent for this. All three of the judges on the panel that took her and her office out are Republican. The trial court judge, Judge McAfee, was appointed by the gun-toting Brian Kemp. In fact, the dissenter, Judge Land, was like, hey, man, the majority, the two people who voted to take her out, we as you said, Brother Shipp, there's a long history of us basically bowing to the discretion of the trial court. We're not trying fact here. We don't know. And so let's say that she hadn't had an affair with this brother. Let's say that there was clean as a whistle. Well, then they're looking for another reason to take them out. I'm not defending Fani Willis. Like I said, I have mixed opinions about her anyway, generally, but that is beside the point. This is about naked power and a naked power grab. And so, at this point, I guess, and help me, Brother Shipp, I think at this point it goes, to the Prosecuting Attorney Council in Georgia? So and of course...
Yes, it goes to PAC, Prosecuting Attorneys Council, and of course they're the ones who will punt it all the way to the end and let the statute run. So yeah, we are in a perilous situation. However, she can appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court and get them to actually hold on to that stare decisis, because again, if they don't hold on to this stare decisis, if they don't hold on to this precedent, then what is to stop us as defense attorneys from coming in and saying, okay, well, since you said that this is the appearance of impropriety and it can disqualify these prosecution officers, why can't we start disqualifying these prosecution officers for going to these fundraisers with judges, going out to the gun club with judges, going to the hunting club or the golf course with judges?
Right.
Because it looks improper, right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
I think you should. I don't know if you can hear me, but I think you should be using that. Why not? Why the hell not? So if they've opened the door here, let's use it. I don't have a problem with that. If that's the case, then it's well worth it. We also know that Fani Willis has some other things to answer for in Fulton County. Some things that are done to rank and file prisoners, people that have been there too long without having trials and hearings. So, look, let's move on to what's next. I don't, if she decides to appeal it, that's fine. I'm sure she will. That's good. But let's let the prosecution move forward. Let's do what we can do on Donald Trump, but then perhaps her office can refocus on the things that are happening to rank and file people in Fulton County, because that's also a story here that is not fully being told, even as we are proud of her. There is some improvement that needs to be done there. And with respect to her, let this be a lesson to all of you. If you're going to take on and be in a high-profile case like Donald Trump, you cannot have this kind of gap out there. It's not going to work. They're going to find out, and they're going to use it to their benefit. And you can say it could have been anything, but in this case, it wasn't. It was the thing you gave them.
Well, the thing for me, I just cannot stand unforced errors. I hate unforced errors. And I thought that this case was one of the strongest ones out of all of the various state cases. And to be honest, I don't have any hope that this thing is going to move forward. You, J. Edward, what do you out of you?
I have my reservations, but I do think it's going to move forward. But I always think about, Omar said it in The Wire, you shoot for the king, you better not miss. And I have to agree with you. Yes, she made some bad decisions. But again, as I said earlier, and I say a million times over, these same legal arguments that they came up with have been laughed out of court. But because it was a black woman prosecuting this powerful white man, now we're saying, oh, well, there might be some credibility to that. Let's look into it. And I think that's the most asinine thing in the world.
And that's why I say to anybody who's watching, you never give them any room to come and get you. You give them nothing. You make them work hard. I'm sorry, this one, she made it easy for him. Jay, what I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good day, my brother.
All right, folks, gonna go. I really do think this is a lesson, Joy and Greg. I remember I was having a debate with someone at a previous company I worked with. And every time this person would kill other folks' ideas, he would pick holes. He would pick holes in their argument. But you know why he couldn't stand me? Because he couldn't pick no holes in my argument, because I made sure not to make sure there were any holes. And he tried. When I say this dude hated my guts, it's because my shit was bulletproof. And I would sit in a room, and we'd be in a meeting, and I'd be like, I dare you to challenge me. Yeah. I dare you to find holes. And I just think that, it just drives me crazy. She made it easy for him.
She made it easy for them, and this wasn't even on the margins. This was pretty darn clear. Certainly, she did not enrich herself by engaging in a relationship with him, but she did hire someone she had a relationship with, which is not that unusual, except that then they kind of lied about it. I personally think that. Some people say they didn't, but the story certainly sounded fishy. Her performance on the stand that day, I know a lot of people loved it, and it felt like some kind of strike for powerful black women, but I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't the decorum that we're used to in the court. I'm sorry, it was out of the norm. It was inappropriate. I'll be honest. And I think all of that, if people already felt like there was bias, that there was an appearance of messiness and impropriety, chaos already, it added to it. It didn't diminish it. It made her the story. So in this case, if you're watching this is a lesson of how not to do it. We'll know better next time, but it's a lesson of how not to do it. And please don't fool ourselves. I don't want to hear about it in our sorority meetings and whatever. No. We can love Fani. Black women don't have to be perfect. We can make mistakes. She made a mistake, and we ought to own that. This time, she made a mistake. This one is on her.
I think the less, and listen, Greg, this is the highest of high profile. I mean, look, their case against Young Thug blew up. I mean, hell, both judges went off and was talking about how unprepared they were. This is just, I guess what just angers me, this was the strongest case against this thug. This was the strongest case. And we got the cases in New York. We got those as well. And you know, the judge said, look, I'm not, you know, throwing look, they still may decide to dismiss the charges, which I still think is bogus. Just because you won an election, the charges should not get dismissed. But you know, it's just, the thing is, you know, it is what it is, but it just sort of just drives me a little bit crazy. Here's what I tell, not even lawyers. I tell students this. I tell folk who work here, have your stuff lined up. Don't ever make it easy to get got. That's just my biggest thing, and so that's just what frustrates me the most. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, you know, I think that if you are black, certainly in the United States of America, and you pretend to be sane, or if you think you're sane, then you're not well. Because this whole structure is set up in a field of violence. And when you talk about students, one of the most difficult things, I think, for law students, black law students, I remember when I was in law school, is the moment they realize that it's all make-believe and it's all about power. There is no stare decisis. There's no precedent.
Right.
There's what you can ram down the throat of your opponent. You know, when we were drug here in chains, and when these rapists, like Thomas Jefferson, and I suppose I shouldn't call him a rapist because legally women of African descent were property, so you can't rape property, I suppose. Thinking now about Bob Iger and Disney that showed that they're rolling over and showing their belly to Trump by settling on something they should and would have won in court. Most lawyers would agree. But, you know, the idea that the law somehow is a mathematical equation and that it exists above and beyond human politics is a fantasy. And when you realize that, I've seen people leave the legal profession. I've seen people keep a stiff upper lip and continue to fight. And when you ask them what's going on, they tell you what's the alternative. There are many alternatives, quite frankly. And respectability is not going to improve our chances. You have a man convicted in New York for assaulting E. Jean Carroll. You have an administration, a Congress filled with young girl lovers, filled with pornographers, filled with all kind of stuff. But when it comes to us, the idea that we could somehow respectability our way into some form of parity belies the fact that the law itself is a field of violence. And if this doesn't do anything else, let's say that everything would have gone through, there would have been a conviction. Well, at that point, the judge in Georgia follows the judge in New York and says, we will suspend the sentence until the president is out of office. And guess what? Guess what? You heard Steve Bannon the other night. Y'all talked about it. Steve Bannon saying, hey, maybe we should go for another one in 28. Why? Because they're going to make the case that it's 2 consecutive terms that the cap applies to. And finally, when you look at the number of states that have called for a constitutional convention, they're past that threshold number, which is why places like California legislature are trying to walk back their demand from years ago, because there is no rule over how long a state's demand for a U.S. Constitutional Convention is good. And they're going to make the argument that they've already been enough states to say it. And if they can get that into the conversation, there are also no rules as to who can submit an amendment. Although you still need a supermajority of states to pass the constitutional amendment, they may go back in and re-examine the 13th Amendment. In other words, there is no such thing as a rule of law that transcends human behavior. We couldn't have respectability politics our way out of it, and behaving as if we could reinforces the myth that they rely on to keep us in line.
Well,
I agree.
It will go, look, they'll appeal to the Supreme Court, and we'll see what they decide, and that is that. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. More on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you helped build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, are you working hard and yet your performance doesn't reflect your paycheck? On the next Get Wealthy, you're going to learn some savvy career moves so that all your efforts actually show up in your bank account. Joining us is the founder of a career network, and she's going to share the 3 R's of accelerating your financial growth.
Here's a tip as well. If you are an individual contributor and you desire to be a leader, do the work where you are now. Because if you do the work where you are now, when you do reach the level, you'll be prepared to stay there.
Right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Curry, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
All right, we began the show talking about the debt ceiling drama. You know what? So there have been a couple of videos on that have come out of Capitol Hill that I just find to be, quite hilarious. And so I just gotta play a couple of more. Here's Congressman Jared Moskowitz.
1 minute to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Moskowitz.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Let's talk about the last 2 years. It was the Democrats who raised the debt ceiling, not the Republicans last time. Many of you voted against it. It was the Democrats who kept over the government, not once, not twice, but every single time we needed to keep the government open, it was the Democrats who kept the government open. More of us voted for it than you. And all I've heard for the last couple of weeks about it, this giant mandate, landslide, trifecta. Put on your big boy pants, pass your own bill. We're only here because you guys can't agree amongst yourselves.
That's right.
So hold on a second. Democrats will keep government open for the American people. We will mediate the disagreements between that side of the room and that side of the room. We will do that for you, but you got to at least invite us to that meeting. So if you want us to solve your problem because you can't agree amongst yourselves, reach out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time has expired. The gentleman.
But, you know, and there are those moments when you get a Republican who, I mean, I think he's a nutcase, but he's a perfect example of a Republican who's even fed up with his own side. Here is Texas Congressman Chip Roy. Listen to
130. Fact of the matter is, $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages, but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I'm absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, way to go, Chip Roy. Way to go. Matter of fact, since we played the Congressman from Texas, let me just go ahead and just put on my hat, since we talking about Chip Roy, so he wants to. He said, and Matt Moskowitz, put your big boy pants on. All right, Lauren Victoria Burke Jones is right now. Lauren, you've been following what's happening on Capitol Hill. I just been laughing at the drama of President-elect Elon Musk tweeting public policy and seeing all the people just lose their minds.
Yeah, I mean, they have no idea who they are as a party. They have no idea who's running the party. And, 30 Republicans just voted against, raising the debt ceiling, which they're typically not into. But again, they don't know whether they are the, Goldwater Republicans, the Reagan Republicans, the William F. Buckley / Reagan Republicans, the George W. They're certainly not the George W. Republicans. They typically are the MAGA Republicans, and I don't even think they know how to define that at this point. From a standpoint of leadership, there is no leadership. We got a president that likes to play golf a lot. I suspect that, interestingly enough, he did say the other day that he was going to mandate that federal employees had to work in person. I thought to myself, does that include the president? I mean, he's probably going to be in Florida for most of this presidency or on some golf course. And then Elon or one of these other airheads is going to pretend they're president. And then he's going to wake up and his ego is going to wake up and say, well, wait a minute, I can't have somebody else getting the attention. At some point, that's gonna crash. I actually think it's going to crash a lot sooner than we thought, because I thought it would crash somewhere in the February-March 2025 zone. I'm starting to think it might crash, over this weekend, because there's no way that Donald Trump with that big fat ego is going to allow anybody. I don't care if it's Elon or anybody else who thinks that they are more important or going to get more attention. That ain't happening. So at any rate, we'll see. I have this thinking feeling that the government might shut down.
Well, we don't have to see. Here's the deal. This is the vote. They voted, and 30 Republicans voted against it, and so the sucker failed 231 to 173. And I'm telling you, Joy, if I'm Hakeem, I'm over there going, it ain't my fault. What time is it? It ain't my fault.
Let me tell you what, Hakeem Jeffries needs to do what I'm doing right now. He needs to be sending out his holiday cards. Listen, as I said earlier, Donald Trump clearly thought this was a deal that was okay to let go, because it would not have happened. They would not have gotten that far along if the speaker did not think this was okay with the former president, the president-elect. Elon Musk, when it all comes out, he got out in front of the president and decided to scuttle the deal.
Well, he got it in front of Trump. He didn't get in front of the president. He got in front of Trump, but I got you.
Exactly. That is going to be a problem. To what my co-panelists just said, That cannot continue to happen. Donald Trump is not good for democracy, of course, but it's really not good for Donald Trump's ego. There is no way Elon Musk did this with the permission of Donald Trump. He might be saving face now, but Elon Musk is right if we call him the president-elect. It's not going to be Donald Trump, not if he goes the way it is going right now, which is why he's going to have to do something to silence an Elon Musk. He can't have it. Otherwise, they'll never be able to get any of the things he wants done.
And listen, the thing here, you need a 2/3 vote. You ain't going to get that. And now they got to figure it out, Greg. And here's the deal. There are real life repercussions. And, you know, Elon Musk has said, hey, we just shut the government down till January 20th. Okay. If that's what y'all want to do, go on right ahead. But watch essential. Just watch a whole bunch of stuff not happen. And then I love the fact that that Mike Johnson had more than a month to bring the folks back to vote specifically on disaster relief. He chose not to when there were real life disasters going on in the country. Say, dog, it's called leadership. You didn't show any.
None.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, these white nationalists have caught the car. They are the dog that caught the car. As we said, as early as November the 5th, sitting there in the studio with you. They caught the car. They don't know what to do now. It's a difficult situation because Elon Musk, within days of the election, said that there's going to be some short-term pain. This apartheid, this apartheid son of apartheid South Africa, this clown. At any rate, but he's a billionaire many times over. Last night, Wednesday night, he's sitting at Mar-a-Lago with his clownish friend and Jeff Bezos, who interfered with the trinket newspaper he bought because his concern, like Elon Musk's concern, is tooling up their rockets so they can leave the rest of our asses here. But the bottom line is the haves are going to be fine. Now, TSA folk are essential personnel. So everyone traveling in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, you'll be able to be wanded and go through and taking your shoes off and going through clear or whatever you're going to do. But guess what? Those people aren't going to get paychecks if the federal government shuts down. Elon Musk will be eating whatever he eats in his billionaire pajamas with his friend Jeff Bezos and his other friends as they rent Trump out to go for broke. But there are going to be real people harmed in this. Yep. And the bottom line is, sure, sit back and watch the chaos, but that chaos is going to include your grandmother. That chaos is going to include people who are working 2 and 3 jobs who can't make ends meet anymore. The chaos is going to include, as you said, folks who won't get hurricane relief because the white nationalists at the federal level, modeling the white nationalists in North Carolina, don't give a damn about those people. Finally, the MAGA Muppet had a deal. This super backbencher, as Congresswoman Crockett said, who they had to pull out of the crack of their toes to put in as speaker because they failed 50,000 times to elect a speaker, he had a deal. But if this is the type of transactional chaos, again, to quote what you said earlier, Joy, chaos, if this is the type of transactional chaos we're going to see going forward, all bets are off. Donald Trump is transactional. You scratch him behind the ear, maybe if you're Disney, you lay down for him and you settle, and then maybe he wakes up in the middle of the night and decides, I'm still against them. And guess what? That poster in Iowa in the newspaper, I'm going to sue them too. And guess what? I'm going to go get somebody to round up somebody over here. All bets are off. Elon Musk can go sit on an island somewhere, but the people who do the living and dying in this society are in harm's way at this point. And quite frankly, I don't know if anybody in the federal government has an answer.
Well, get used to this. I mean, might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well. And you know what? That's what they wanted. And guess what? Trump can't say anything because Elon spent, what, $350 million buying the presidency? Okay, and then now Musk is threatening any Republican who doesn't vote, who votes against, who votes for the CR bill, they're going to get primaried via his money. They're going to threaten. See, here's what we're about to see Lauren, which I think is going to be really, really fun. We're about to see whether Republicans actually going to have any guts and tell an Elon Musk to go F himself. Because here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. On any bill going forward, they're going to threaten. They're going to threaten them. But here's the problem. Their margin is so small that literally all it takes is 3 members, max 4 members to go, nope. And I saw if a Chip Roy and 3 others go, I don't give a damn what you think. Y'all gonna keep adding money to the deficit? I'm not gonna support it. It's gonna shut everything down. The biggest thing is for Hakeem to keep his folks in line.
Oh, he'll be able to keep his folks in line. Because, you just saw 30 Republicans decide, not so much. We're not really into this. Yeah, and we haven't even gotten to the U.S. Senate, by the way. The U.S. Senate, he thinks he can primary everybody. Okay, I know he's got a lot of money. Okay, that's great. Fine. Good for you. I can guarantee you that on the U.S. Senate side, you are not going to have everybody just doing what you say. Now, they may get that certainly on judges. I mean, there's certain things that, yes, you're going to see. But when we start getting into things like cutting Social Security, destroying the Affordable Care Act, these are the things that you start getting phone calls on. I don't care what state you're in, whether you're right, left, or anything else, you are going to get calls on Social Security. Social Security is keeping millions of Americans out of poverty. And so Elon Musk can play games and run his mouth and threaten and all this other stuff. At some point, someone is going to wake up to the fact that, oh, wait a minute, there's a guy that came into this country illegally who's an Afrikaner trying to run the United States. There's no way in the United States, no way in the world that these senators and these members of the House, even the craziest MAGA ones, are going to sit for that. Because the way politics works is everybody wants to be in control. Everybody wants power. Everybody wants to matter. And him dictating on Twitter how we're going to run the government isn't going to sit well, particularly on the U.S. Senate side. We haven't seen that part yet. We're just looking at the House. Now, they may go along certainly with Trump, but remember, this is not Trump that we're dealing with right now. This is actually somebody else, some guy that came over here and thinks he can do anything he wants because he's got some money, which, by the way, was funded by taxpayers. Most of this is subsidy. And, you start fooling around with farm subsidies and stuff like that. I'm telling you, this thing crashes and burns quicker than we think. The question is, Roland, what happens after the collision? Because they are going to have a collision. It's going to be a collision of egos. It's going to be a collision of reality. And it's going to be a collision of realizing that you don't have enough votes to do certain things, even in the House. Although the House, of course, is 5 votes off. But it's actually tighter than that because there's a group of people sitting there in these really close districts, Democrats and Republicans. They're not just going to go along with the program. So what happens after it crashes and burns is what's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, speaking of crashing and burning, we'll talk about Amazon workers going on strike, where Jeff Bezos, he's whining and dining with Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. We'll discuss that next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, 'tis the season, tree trimming, party going, and gift giving. And I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and sometimes it's just downright exhausting. Surviving the holiday season, we got tips for you for staying sane, solvent, striving, and thriving, and sometimes keeping a little money in your pocket.
2 things just out of the gate: set boundaries and set a budget.
On a next A Balanced Life right here on Black Star Network with me, Dr. Jackie.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I had been trying to get a record deal for a long time. When I finally got signed to the Motown record label in in 2003, I was 34, 35 years old. And up until that time, I had been trying to get record deals the traditional way. You know, you record your demo, you record your music, and you send it, you know, to the record labels, or maybe somebody, a friend of a friend, knows somebody that works for, you know, the record label. And really, chemistry that was my last-ditch effort at being in the music business.
How long have you been trying?
I've been trying since I was a teenager. Wow. You know? And you know. And I'm grateful that it didn't. I'm grateful that it happened when it happened, because I wasn't prepared, you know, as a teenager to embrace all that comes with a career in the music industry. Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered, though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
Well, there was a party last night at Mar-a-Lago when Jeff Bezos and Lorraine Sanchez, they traveled there to have dinner with the thug-in-chief. Come on, go to my iPad. So you see them there going into Mar-a-Lago, all the different people who were there, and Trump greeting them with that ridiculously long-ass tie. And so here's the deal. So let's juxtapose this. You know, the world, what is he, world's second, third richest man, going there to kiss Trump's ass. And let's juxtapose that with this today in New York, where the NYPD broke a strong Teamsters picket line. There were protests in 7 states, Amazon workers, and they've been demanding better treatment. And you had the NYPD, who was literally breaking the picket line, and people were trying to understand, like, well, what the hell are y'all doing? There was one point, this brother here was arrested because he didn't want to cross the picket line, and so the cops arrested him. I mean, if you listen to the audio, I mean, it's crazy. Check, pull the audio up, y'all. Let me roll it back.
Already know. You good. You gonna get out. Be good. You good. Yo, you good. You good. He ain't do nothing. Yo, get out.
So I'm just curious, Joy, who does the NYPD work? Who does the NYPD work for? They work for the city of New York, or they work for Jeff Bezos?
Well, in this new oligarchy, they might work for Jeff Bezos. You know, I really don't know. None of this is surprising. It's not surprising that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and for the first time in decades upon decades, they chose not to allow their editorial page to, you know, to endorse a candidate, to make a recommendation.
Here is a video
what we are expecting.
Here's a video the Teamsters released talking about their largest strike ever against Amazon. Watch.
People are excited for this strike. We've been waiting for this day. We've been prepping for this day. This is the day that they get to see how strong we are.
This is our chance to truly make history.
Teamsters have voted to authorize a strike at 7 Amazon facilities. Those include warehouses in Staten Island and Queens, the Chicago suburb of Skokie, and 4 in Southern California.
Amazon doesn't want us to realize the power that we have as Amazon workers. It wouldn't be able to run without us.
Amazon is scared because they know that with the power of the union, they're going to have to dish out what they owe.
Amazon needs to understand that there's real people behind these vans. There's real people in these warehouses, and they need to treat us with the dignity that we deserve.
These right here, we're fighting for our life.
We're fighting for our families.
We are Amazon Teamsters.
We deliver the packages.
We make Amazon's profits.
We're demanding our fair share.
We demand fair pay and safe jobs.
What's going to be real interesting here, Lauren, Teamsters chose not to endorse Donald Trump, and so a lot of them want to suck up to Donald Trump. But remember what he said to Elon Musk? He said, hey, striking workers, fire all their asses. So let's see whose side Trump and the Republicans will be on. I got a good guess it won't be the union.
Yeah, Sean O'Brien is about to look really stupid, and so are the Teamsters. And I'm not sure what planet that they were on this entire year trying to pretend that somehow Donald Trump was their friend after it was the Democrats, led by Joe Biden and Bobby Scott, primarily, who saved their pensions to the tunes of millions and millions of dollars. So I'm not sure why the Teamsters or any of these other unions thought that this was, cute to not endorse or be slow to endorse the vice president or any other Democrat, quite frankly, would have been better than Donald Trump. But, this is the game. This is the dumb game that they're playing. Jeff Bezos, all of these people, Zuckerberg, they're trying to kiss Trump's posterior. It is not going to work. Nobody cares. Trump is as inconsistent a person as we've ever seen in any leadership position. You don't know what he's going to say or do from one moment to the next. And I'm not sure why they think having meetings or giving money to him or anything else matters one way or the other. Whoever's in his ear last tends to win. There is no plan. There is no direction. They're fooling themselves if there is. And really Bezos's performance this year with regard to not endorsing the Washington Post was just odd. I'm surprised that David Shipley, the editorial board editor, after the great Fred Hyatt unfortunately passed away a few years ago, I'm surprised he's still in that position. I just came from an event for Bob Cusack, the long-term editor for The Hill newspaper, and there's a rumor, which I was trying to find out from Bob whether or not he knew why it was that the Post is having trouble hiring top editors. Apparently there's some new plan in there that is dissuading a lot of people, and they finally hired somebody from the Wall Street Journal, I think today. That's gonna be problematic. They're going to lose money. As you know, they lost 250,000 subscribers after Bezos made that decision, which is a ton of money. And I know that Bezos obviously has enough money to sustain the Post and sort of just pay for the losses, but I doubt that he'll be, wanting to do that for a extended period of time.
It is going to be, listen, if you're in a union, you got to get geared up. Because the Republican Party is absolutely anti-union. And I think there's going to be a massive clash, Greg, because you have an increasing number of people who are seeing the value in unions. And I think what you're about to see folk going to be really confronted with, and I'll say this here, these white union folks. Are you going to choose your white identity politics over your pocketbook like you've always had?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's the question. It's really dizzying when you think about everything that an informed citizenry would have to at least have an awareness of in order to, move differently politically. And I say that because there was some rumbling late last month, when Trump tapped Lori Chavez DeRimmer as the nominee to lead Department of Labor. Daughter of a Teamster, grew up in San Joaquin Valley in California. Certainly on her face, more labor friendly than what you would expect. We all remember the ancient Wilbur Ross shaking aluminum cans and whatever else in his stupor. Is he still alive? But at any rate, this is different. Sean O'Brien, as you say, Lauren, speaking at the Republican National Commission, and then, of course, the Teamsters don't come out for anyone. Donald Trump is transactional. So, maybe that cuts in favor of labor when he's sitting there in his own stupor at Mar-a-Lago with his billionaire friends. Maybe he looks at Jeff Bezos and says, Sean O'Brien's my friend. Cut them a break. At which point, Bezos looks at Musk, they make a call, and maybe Junior Varsity Vance, who's been very quiet, is like, don't worry, we got this guy surrounded. Do we pull the 25th Amendment now? In other words, we're talking about a transactional clown in the seat of president, but we're talking about him being surrounded by people who do have plans. Now, the question is whether the plans, like Steve Bannon, who wants to destroy the entire administrative state and is sitting in a catbird seat now, whether the ultra-white nationalist Stephen Miller, who wants to throw everybody out the country and got Justin Trudeau running down to Mar-a-Lago, and the president of Mexico, Dr. Sheinbaum, taking all of her fingers down except the middle one, and she threw it up and said, you want to dance this dance? Let's dance. Meanwhile, finally, looming over all of this is China. Thomas Friedman had a long, Thomas Friedman, who's in many ways the columnist for Empire, for U.S. Empire, just came back from China, and he shook as hell. They've got the entire supply chain. You want to talk about Tesla and Elon Musk? And China has the minerals for the batteries. China has the complete supply chain. China is building dark factories. That means the only human beings in the factory are the people who come in to check the machines once or twice a day, and they don't even turn the lights on in there because the machines are building everything. So when Donald Trump comes in and says, bring back all these jobs and you got to invest in the United States, you saw the Japanese dude came up, I'll put $100 million. The Chinese will be like, we'll build 100 factories. Where do you want them? Because here's the thing, we're going to build a factory, and when you go roll up to it, there's nobody in there. Yeah, that's a dark factory. There's no such thing as organized labor when you don't have human beings working. So when the Amazon strike emerges as it does, I hate to say this, I really do, but I got a lot of friends who would consider themselves super leftists who would say this is the way it had to go in order to galvanize the people who are the lowest down on the ladder to finally do something. We might see a renaissance in organized labor if for no other reason than the lines are clearly drawn between the oligarchs and the rest. And I don't want to be part of that small Negro petty bourgeoisie that tries to get in the way of these people and tell them, vote harder next time. Because unless the Democrats change their game plan, that shit ain't going to work again.
Well, it's a whole lot going on. And speaking of that, I had a few words to say the other day about that little child, Lindy Lee. And she's still running her mouth on Fox News. So let me do this here. Let me go to the break, and let me just get y'all to wear in. And Jamie Harrison, man, he just called her out as an opportunist. I'm gonna show y'all his tweet as well. Lots to talk about when we come back right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible.
Take some money orders, go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 200. 4037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood Show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood Show and the Roland Martin Show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
Well, you can always count on know nothing, nameless, let's say, irrelevant people to jump out here and make a name for themselves. And if you want to see just sheer stupidity, just turn to Fox News or Piers Morgan and watch anytime Lil Lindy Lee opens her mouth. Now, who is she? A nondescript, unimportant member, and she claims that she's on the DNC Finance Committee. I was told she got removed a couple of weeks ago. Then she gave herself some other little new title. But listen to this nonsense she had to say, of course, on Fox News. But I hope y'all notice, every time she's dogging Democrats, she's running to Fox News. Maybe because nobody listens to you because you're pretty stupid. Listen to this, y'all.
November 5th was a decisive defeat for the Democratic Party. She lost every single swing state. It wasn't a squeaker like it was in 2016. This was a resounding defeat. And right now, Kamala Harris is indulging in delusions of running for governor of California, possibly in 2026, or even president again in 2028. America has said this is not what we don't want to be coconut pilled. We do not want Kamala Harris. We don't want failed border policies. And I feel like I'm liberated and I can finally tell the truth that the Democrats completely failed on the border. Title 42 was a tremendous mistake, and no one is willing to say that. And you shouldn't be called bigoted or racist because you want strong borders for the United States. And you should be able to say that the economy was ailing under the Biden-Harris administration, that price hikes did indeed happen, but they denied that for the first 3 years of the administration. And when they finally did something, it was too late.
Well, Linda, you're interesting to listen to her run her mouth talking about the economy when the United States actually, the economy has recovered at a faster rate than every other major nation in the world. But I guess little Lindy overlooks that. And so she's been running around. Again, she just been running her mouth, y'all, left and right on Fox News. And she's been everywhere. She's going on Piers Morgan's show. She's been everywhere just her little nonsense, and and this is literally the most attention this little child has ever gotten. Then she does this interview with this. Again, she talking to everybody. She talking to some little fool here, some dude on News Nation we ain't never even heard of. And she claims that, the DNC is in complete turmoil. Listen to this, y'all.
Is it in turmoil? Are people leaving?
It's absolutely in turmoil. People are stepping down. Yeah, and there are going to be elections.
What about the current hierarchy, leadership at the NC?
I mean, almost everyone's going to be gone. They're just going to be gone.
Gone?
Yeah, they're going to be gone, to be clear. I thought it was just obvious that it was.
A disaster.
Yeah, I just thought it was obvious. I didn't.
Okay, first of all, you have no power. Nobody even knows you. And if you want to talk about getting roasted, Jamie Harrison, who is the outgoing chair of the Democratic National Committee, let's just say Jamie does not think highly of little Lindy Lee at all. And so he dropped this tweet here today. He said, narcissism incarnate has truly found a home and an audience. On election day, she, Lindy Lee, was anchored at the entrance of the Harris election night reception, attempting to greet and take selfies with any and all notable Democrats. This is yet another desperate cry for attention. I also love how she gives herself all of these elaborate DNC titles. Next Queen Regnant of the DNC. Whatever she creates next, she should add former. Go get that contributor contract, Lindy. This here to me is hilarious, Joy, because she again, this is what I find to be interesting. If you got so much to say about why the party lost what they should have done, why your lame ass not running for DNC chair?
Correct. Listen, I mean, I think we're going to discover that Lindy might have a few loose screws. There are people like that, and I hate to say it, but it's true. And you can always get someone to pay attention to you if you say crazy things or if you say things that have, you know, maybe some elements of truth in it, but the way she's going about it is not normal. And to suggest that there's anything to be taken from the fact that people are resigning and are being, there are going to be elections held, that happens at the end of every 4 years. So, I mean, we get new DNC members, we get a new DNC leader. This is not surprising. This is normal. And if she was, you know, as important as she was, she would know that. She's trying to get attention. I'm happy to not give her any.
Well, and you can always expect this here. Here's her on Piers Morgan. I'm leaving the Democratic Party. Y'all roll this.
She would not inspire me to open a bag of chips. I mean, seriously. And I think that she sort of personifies now the ghost of Christmas past, as does Biden. The Democrats have got to move on quickly, haven't they?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. She's indulging delusions of running for governor in California in 2026 and perhaps even running for president in 2028. And I just want to echo what a lot of you guys already said. This past week has been harrowing for me. This Saturday, I went on Fox and Friends and I said that Democrats have a stench of loser hanging over them.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, there were boycott campaigns against me, unblock, unfollow campaigns. I lost 40,000 followers.
Really?
In 4 days. People have called me the W word. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but you can fill in the blank.
We're uncensored. Let's say it. Say it. Say what the word was.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Well, they called me a whore. They called me the C word. They asked for me to be deported. And you can just search for my name in those terms on X and you'll see a bunch of them. So, you know, all these so-called Democrats, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, masks off. And it's even worse because they pretend to occupy the moral high ground. At least with the Republicans, you know, they are who they are. But with Democrats, they pretend to be, you know, so loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat. This is not a switch for me. This is just me. This is who I've always been. Yeah. And also, my donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened.
Okay, first of all, boo. You didn't raise $2.5 billion. Let's just be real clear right there. And this is just laughable, Lauren. Again, but this is, oh, I'm just a victim. They're boycotting me. Yes, because you're literally aiding the enemy. And then this whole deal, oh, how Republicans are who they are. And Democrats about diversity. But this is the same person who criticized identity politics. I mean, come on. You're just, this, and then she said they called me a whore. I saw people call her an attention whore. That's what I saw. Now, I'm not going to use that language. I'm going to do it. But the bottom line is, she is desperate to get a TV contributor job. She is desperate because here's the deal. If the two places that you consistently go to are going to be Fox News, News Nation, and then add on Piers Morgan, I think it's obvious. I mean, what the hell? You might as well go to Newsmax and OAN next.
Well, to Joy's point, there's no quicker way. I mean, this is some high plains grifting that we're watching. So it's a combination of two things. There's no quicker way to get on television, particularly Fox, than to hate the group that you belong to, particularly if you're black. So if you go on and say, okay, I'm a black person that hates other black people and says a bunch of negative stuff about black people, they'll book you immediately. If you're a Democrat, and she's a so-called conservative Democrat, whatever that is, that's an oxymoron, you tell Fox booker, producer, ooh, I'm going to get on as a Democrat and criticize other Democrats, I'll put you right on. That's the first thing that we're watching. So, of course, she's trying to get a contributor's contract, and that's the pathway to that. The other thing we're watching is sort of a reaction to losing, a shocking loss. And people deal with failure in different ways. And you can see with Cenk Uygur and Joe Scarborough, it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome type of thing. Well, my captor, I'm now going to try to be friendly with the people who've kidnapped me that are problematic. And so they've just sort of given up and thrown their hands up. And, you see people online like Mark Elias who's fighting, right? You see a lot of people who are fighting. But a lot of people, what they're trying to do is they're trying to be friends with the enemy. Some of that is just fear and cowardice. And some of it, I think, is strategery, political strategery. I'm going to, if you can't beat them, join them. The problem with all of that, of course, is that Donald Trump is a lunatic. This is not somebody that is just an opposing candidate in the same sense that we had, sort of like I say, in the Reagan years, or even Nixon or somebody like that. I mean, you played, even though Nixon was a dirty politician, there was still some rules there, I often think to myself, if Nixon was alive today, he would say to himself, really? I mean, this is quite interesting. At any rate, but Trump is on another level. These people are actually dangerous. I actually think there's a chance that they could collapse the government, when they get into power. That is not off the table. So a lot of these people have given into that, from Bezos to Joe Scarborough. It is really embarrassing to watch. It breaks their brand. This woman doesn't have a brand because nobody knew who she was. So this is kind of a desperate thing to sort of align yourself with the people you've been fighting against for so many years. It's really sort of pathetic to watch, and really you can never trust these people because what happens is when they meet a moment of great adversity and turncoat and lack courage, I mean, you can never trust an individual like that again, as opposed to the people that you do see fighting online in the Democratic Party right now against Trump, no matter what.
And here's why, when you listen to this sheer stupidity, Greg, you got to laugh at it. I recall a lot of people saying, oh, my God, this is it. We'll never see Trump again. He can't recover from this. It just can't happen. How many times did Biden run for president before he gets elected in 2020? So this constant attack on Vice President Kamala Harris, I'm not gonna say, oh, somehow it's gonna be a cakewalk that she can win the nomination, she can easily get elected. But this idea that she can't run again is just stupid. And if anybody paying attention to this whole deal, here's the other deal that idiots like Lindy Lee don't want to own up to. And the Wall Street Journal had an article today talking about how there was this protective cocoon around President Joe Biden from the moment he came into the White House. The fact of the matter is, had President Biden run, Democrats would have gotten crushed. Would have gotten crushed. Let's be clear. Vice President Harris lost by 1.6%. Okay? It wasn't a blowout. She didn't get torched. Did you lose battleground states? Answer is yes. But the bottom line is this here. They also held Senate seats. They increased their margin in the House, and they would actually control the House if it wasn't for political gerrymandering in North Carolina. And so this is what's silly. And what a Lindy Lee won't say on Fox News as she's trashing Vice President Kamala Harris, the Biden campaign was out of money. They were broke. The money that the Vice President Harris raised when she jumped in saved their asses. Oh, there's video of Lindy Lee saying, oh, my God, I raised, it would take me forever to raise $1 million. I raised $2 million in a week when Vice President Harris got in. So she had all these things to say. Now, if you want to break down what happened, then you do that. You look at some of the decisions made. You say, okay, did it make sense spending money on all these concerts as opposed to putting money on the ground? How about bringing up the New York Times article of black staffers getting together and saying, hey, you know, in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, we've got to create our own plan because headquarters is screwing this thing up. And they didn't tell them. Or what's happening in Georgia as well. Why is it that Lindy Lee, she's got so much to say about Vice President Kamala Harris, but she ain't got jack to say about Jen O'Malley Dillon and Stephanie Cutter and David Plouffe and Quentin Folks? That was the top 4 folks in the campaign. What about all of that? And so that's what I'll say. If you're a Democrat and you're pissed off that you lost, what you do is you actually say, let's assess what happened. What you don't do is you don't go into the enemy territory of Fox News and all of a sudden, and you're getting booked everywhere. And let's be real clear, before this election and after November 5th, didn't nobody know who the hell Lindy Lee was? Nobody. So Jamie Harris is absolutely right. And so if you want to figure out why you lost, that's what you do. But you damn sure don't do it by tearing down somebody who actually helped keep your damn party together after the debacle of the June 27th debate.
Yeah, it was all a debacle. And again, these narratives are so absurd that to even spend any time on them, you have to do it because we are inundated with them. But again, I mean, it's not a broken record. We have to underscore this, especially now. This is the unmistakable, indelible, foundational importance of Black Star Network and these conversations. You know, make-believe has completely capsized the idiocracy that is the American electorate. You have a man who, if he completes a 4-year term, will be older than Biden is now. And then they talk about giving him another term. Where is the age issue now? There is no age issue. There wasn't an age issue with Biden. Forget his diminished capacity. Forget his diminished capacity. I'm saying that in service of this broader point. The Democratic Party is full of unforced errors. I mean, when we look back again, however many years in the future, the story of this election, I'm convinced at this point. I mean, I'm always open to be unconvinced, but it's going to be voter suppression and disinformation. The fact that the Democrats got as close as they got with all the unforced errors.
Yep.
I mean, God bless Congressman Jim Clyburn, but let's be very clear. Part of this mess is your fault. You riding with Biden, and then you tell Biden to put Jamie Harrison in charge of the Democratic National Committee. Jamie Harrison couldn't even beat little Lynn Graham in South Carolina. I mean, so they are the monarchs of unforced errors. And with this leadership not even fight they had this earlier this week, they showing you they're going to quadruple down on soft white nationalism. So, I mean, that's where we are. Now, that having been said, as it relates to Ms. Lynn, and you know, we're book snobs. First of all, I don't know what that was behind her in that shot, but the Power Broker, Robert Caro's book, those Lyndon Johnson volumes, John Meacham and all those books they're not the same size. So whatever store you got to give you them cutouts with look like book titles on the back, let me tell you right now, somebody who owns most of the books that were behind you, those aren't books behind her. So I think that sums up metaphorically what she is. In other words, this is what Lauren said. You're just trying to get a check. And like Lauren said, she's going to get a check. It's going to be a lot of people get checks. I don't know how our friend Eddie Glaude gets up in the morning and goes in there and watch that hard white nationalist Joe Scarborough and Mika talk. I don't know how he's going to do it for 2, 3, 4 years, but God bless Eddie. Everybody getting a check. Now, here at the Black Star Network, that is not the case. When y'all donate money here, it goes right back into the infrastructure. This place is more important than ever because think about the day before November the 5th and think about the day after. Doctors Without Borders were in Gaza today. And they say, look at all these signs of ethnic cleansing. The killers of the Israeli Defense Force in the last day have killed at least 32 Palestinians. It's not on the front page anymore. It's not on the second page. It's not in the first section. If it's in the news at all, it's in the corner. What happened to the issue? Disinformation and voter suppression gonna be the story here, and the narrative is constantly changing. Joe Biden too old, but Donald Trump is 1,000 years old. Let's give him 50 more years. Let's be clear. This is all a circus. It's all a charade in terms of all this stuff, and turn off all of those talking heads and donate to the Black Star Network, and let's batten down the hatches, because this rough ride is about to get real quick.
So I love the people who got lots to say, but then they forgot that there's video of the other stuff that they said. So this is a tweet that was posted July 29th, 2024. Super honored to be officially credentialed by the Harris campaign as a creator for the Democratic National Convention. This is the first time in the history that influencers will have exclusive access. Chicago, we taking over. Watch this space. Listen.
So excited to be one of the creators at this year's Democratic National Convention. This is the first time in history that creators will be credentialed. We'll give you an inside look straight from the convention floor. I can't wait to share history in the making with you. I love you all and can't wait to see you soon.
What's good, okay, all right. So that's not the only video I want to show y'all. Allow me to show you this other Lindy Lee video. Because again, it's amazing what people have to say. Now remember, all this trashing about Vice President Harris. This is from August 4th, 2024.
With your position there as the National Finance Committee, you're on that. The Harris campaign having raised $310 million in July. That is a huge number. I know you're going to be hosting a fundraiser for Harris in Philadelphia. So now that the campaign has the money, how do you spend it most effectively?
Well, 3 words essentially: Pennsylvania, 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 and that's the case for both campaigns. Both campaigns have committed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in this state because this is the tipping point state. And also, as I mentioned before, she is now able to galvanize young people in states that were formerly completely out of play. Michigan is back. Young people who were disenchanted or completely tuned out are back. The energy behind her has been absolutely phenomenal. I don't remember this level of excitement since I was a kid cheering for Senator Obama. This is just truly incredible. And just for some perspective, it took me a year essentially to raise $1.1 million for President Biden. It took me a week to raise $2 million for Kamala Harris. So this is astounding and completely unprecedented.
Well, let me help you out. It took you a year to raise $1 million for Biden. It took those black men like myself, it took us 3 hours to raise 1.5. Just saying.
Yeah, black women too.
No. I wasn't on that call. I'm talking about the black men call. So I'm speaking of me. But I'm just saying, she's sitting here like, oh, it took me a year to raise $1 million, and I raised it in a week. But I want people to understand, oh, she brought the young people back. Michigan is now in play. All of those things. See, again, this is why you have to play what folks said before. Oh, remember how, again, she was dogging everybody. This is where her talking about, should Biden be removed?
Yeah, I completely get you. I'm not here to tell you otherwise. And I've had many conversations with donors, and these are big donors. I'm talking like $1 million each. The fundraising agreement that we currently have caps the individual amount around, I think it's $960 something dollars, so close to $1 million. So these people, I've been trying to talk them off the ledge. But I also think there's something else that we should consider. It's a Republican convention next week. Trump vows to unveil his vice presidential pick. I think it's actually smart for our party not to do anything drastic until we see who he picks. Because I can bet you, I'm willing to bet that Trump is waiting at Mar-a-Lago to see if he's going to be running against a woman. Yeah, I completely
So all of that talk, all of that bluster after the fact. So this is what they say is, you actually show your true colors, not when you win, but when you lose.
How about that?
You show your true self, If you want to see what people really feel about you, let's see what happens after you lose and not when you win. And people like her, and there are other people like her, there are people who are talking about blow the party up, all these different things along those lines. And again, I'm just going to compare you to the other side. What happened? All of those people, January 6th is going to be the end of Trump. What happened? And what did they do? And this is the whole thing here. See, the real deal, she's talking about, Joy, she's talking about the border, and I'm a conservative Democrat, all these things. And she talking about, I can feel it, the excitement around Trump and the economy. Okay, knock yourself out. But the question is, what are your values? And when they begin to make decisions that are hurting people, then where are you going to be, little Lindy Lee? And if you want to leave the party, go and leave the party. But you know what this tells me? This tells me, Joy, she never had any credibility. She never had any fight in her. If you are so weak that after 2 or 3 days of television hits, you now ready to run, girl, bye.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who even really knows her, so it's just so funny that she would be out there. This is clearly a person who says whatever is, you know, the thing to say du jour, right? So today she wants to get on Fox News. She probably has been, has ostracized herself in the Democratic Party, as Jamie already said, put former in front of that. She probably needs to do this professionally in order to get money. We're smart out there at the Black Star Network. We know what this is. This is a grift. And she's going to continue to do it as long as we give her more attention, as long as they pay her more money. There are lots of DNC members out there who are doing the right thing. If they see the party is going in the wrong direction, in their estimation, they're running for DNC vice chair, DNC secretary, DNC whatever. That's what we need. We need people who are willing to put themselves on the line and to step up to try to lead our party through this difficult period. And we don't do that by trashing each other. You stick together, you make your tweaks, and then you move on. Because as we've already seen, the Republicans are not better at this. They are a disaster, and they're going to prove that. We have to be ready when the American people come back to us.
Listen, I think, Lauren, that after any loss, there should be an assessment of what happened. I believe that one of the reasons you do that is so you can look at how do you get better, how do you change things, how do you campaign differently, how do you stop using certain white consultants, certain Democratic communications firms and others that are grifting, that are making millions of dollars, buying their second homes, there's yachts and things along those lines, and they keep blowing things. And so you actually do that. All those things are necessary. But I do believe when you do an autopsy about why you lost, the whole point is so you can look at potentially winning again. I think it's idiotic for, if you're a Lindy Lee or anyone else, to be attacking the person who came within 1.6% of winning the White House. Lindy, you ain't, matter of fact, I was told Lindy has run for some stuff, and she's lost every time. So that's what you're also are looking at. And yet, Democrats should be assessing what they did, but you also be looking at what you also won. And that's also the thing. The reality is that November 5th was not devastation for Democrats. It's not like the party got obliterated. November 5th was not like November 2010 when they got just jacked in elections and lost the midterm elections. That's not what happened. Now your goal is to rebuild for 25 and for 26, and that's what smart people do.
Yeah, I mean, that's all true, obviously. One of the problems here is that the party is just not good at after actions, particularly when we're talking about after actions after a loss. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with that, and there's some changes that I think certainly should have been made. You know, to me, when Jasmine Crockett didn't win the leadership, didn't win the messaging race with Debbie Dingell, I thought that was a bad sign. And of course, the other day, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez loses the ranking member race by a pretty big margin to Jerry Connolly. And Jerry Connolly is actually a good messenger, but she's on another level. She's one of the best messengers politically in the country. So the party is not good at figuring out, you know, what it is that is a losing proposition and making those changes. The party is just not good at that at all. I don't think anybody cares about Lindy Lee. Like, nobody's ever seen this woman before until this moment. In fact, part of the game that she's playing is, let me say something outrageous and then everybody will pay attention to me. And of course that's happening. But, you know, people like this become a complete waste of time because they're not in the business of trying to fix the problem. You know, you can't spend all your time whining about, you know, all the things that you think should have been done, that you should have said before the election. You know, really, and to be even more realist, really, to me, didn't have that much to do with Vice President Harris. I mean, this moment happened because a 81-year-old man and his staff decided to hide from everybody the fact that he was not able to pull this race off, a fact that they should have known a good year and a half before the actual election day. And so, to me, I've always, you know, blamed people like Jen O'Malley Dillon and Anita Dunn and that crew, you know, in there that really concealed what was going on. And it's obvious. I mean, he's 82. He just turned 82, right? So there's all of that. That's what sets this into motion, where the vice president is effectively forced to run a 107-day presidential campaign, which has never been heard of in the history of the United States. That's extremely difficult when you're dealing with Donald Trump, who had been running for 4 years, his third race. So to me, that's the bigger issue. And it's interesting that she never actually brings that up. But again, I don't think she really matters all that much. I mean, you want people who are in the business of really trying to figure out what the answer is to winning. And, you know, they lost. The bottom line is the Democrats lost. And it's not just that they lost. They lost to somebody who is dangerous, not only for our democracy, but dangerously careless with leadership, as we're seeing right now as we're talking.
And I think the goal for African Americans, Greg, and this is the thing that people don't seem to understand. I love these yahoos, especially some of these people who are in the chat. Roll on, you're a Democrat. Never self-identify as a Democrat. No, I'm black. I'm black. I speak to black interest. And when I look at parties, and when I look at people, I'm saying who speaks to the interest of black people. And there is nothing about Donald Trump that speaks to the interest of black people, unless you want a pat on the head like Byron Donalds, unless you want to look like a buffoon, like that fool Vernon Jones out of Georgia. If those are the kind of black people you want, go right ahead. And so that's what this is about. And so what I'm looking at is who speaks to the issues that black people care about. And I'm telling you right now, people are about to see for themselves. And matter of fact, a whole bunch of these FBA, B1, all these people who had so much smoke for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they about to see for themselves. You got Ed Bloom right now who said, he is going after the reparations bill. And hell, it ain't even reparations in New York.
Absolutely.
Kathy Hochul said, let's just do a commission. We suing. And so all these folk, I can't wait to hear their mouths. I can't wait to, since they had so much smoke for Biden and Harris, okay, what y'all gonna say now?
Brother, this is, we talk about things being unprecedented. We haven't seen this before. We've absolutely seen it before. Our ancestors were drug here and changed for all the foundational Black Americans, FB1, B1, whatever the acronyms are. I call them blackface nativists. if they really did know U.S. history, they would understand much more clearly that we have seen this before. You lynch and drown, you drown, maim, beat up, then kill and dump into the Tallahatchie River a 14-year-old boy from Chicago. And then your friends get on the jury and let you go. And then you sell your story to Life magazine for profit. We are now in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, except now we have the internet and nuclear weapons, so there's much more at stake. Now, so we know how we organized at that point to resist, but that doesn't work anymore, in part because one of the things that desegregation did and integration did is erode a sense of solidarity politics that was able at least to prop up a nascent middle class in the black community, and in many ways in terms of a working class and the working poor, enable us to come together enough to push through at least some nominal gains in terms of legal rights. Now, you know, what has changed since then, of course, deindustrialization, and now we're talking about the end of work as we know it, suppression of wages, all that as a backdrop from what I'm about to say now. When we talk about what we're facing and what our options and solutions are, it seems to me we've got to be a lot smarter than we've been. We are at a situation now where there are fewer students in the first-year class of African descent at Harvard Law School than there were in the 1960s. And you know, when I went my first year of law school, my first semester, first year of law school, Ohio State University, out of about 300 first-year law students, there were 18 of us, 17 first-year students of African descent, and one brother who's now an ancestor, Sami Aish, who was Palestinian, who came with us. That was the Black Law Student Association. When I tell you, when I looked at those numbers, and I think it was 19 first-year law students out of about 600 at Harvard Law, Bloom and them boys ain't playing no games. And we have to understand, this isn't about Jay-Z or Stephen A. Smith. This ain't about Diddy or who's playing for this team or whatever. This is now about a fight for all the marbles, and they may very well destroy the United States of America. And I don't mean that it's going to kill all of us, but I'm saying, look, if Kamala Harris decides she wants to run and be the governor and run for the governor of California, if Buttigieg goes to Michigan and follows Big Gretch, I'm not sure that that's not a bad thing to consider. Why? Because federalism at this point is in the balance, and it could very well be that states' rights, which meant something very different in 1960 to us, may take on a different meaning with a Westmore in Maryland and with California and Michigan. We got to begin to think about this, Roland, again. I mean, this is time for us to step it up.
And that's why, by Democrats breaking the supermajority of the Republicans in North Carolina, matters. That's why 2025, making sure that Don Scott and the Democrats maintain the House in Virginia, so he remains Speaker of the House. Again, that's about power. That's why I said to black folks in Baton Rouge, those of you who stayed at home and allowed a black mayor to lose to a white football coach who had never run for office, and he is now in control of a billion-dollar budget, that's absolutely nonsense. And so for the people who are running around, who run their mouths, and all these people who yap on their YouTube channels and who spend more time doing segments on what we talk about on this show versus anything original, then if y'all keep watching and listening to those fools, then you're going to get everything you deserve. And so people need to understand, and I'm going to say this again and close this show. All y'all folk who think this is a game, you are about to learn. They are going after every single program. They are going that directly benefits black people. They're going after every scholarship program, fellowship program, every law firm program in corporate America. NASDAQ, they sued them, and NASDAQ no longer can have their diversity goals requiring diversity on their board of directors. They're going after everything because they say, oh no, we're being hurt, we're being discriminated against. No, they don't want to see black advancement. Now, if some of you so-called Negroes don't understand what's going on, okay, but I'm telling y'all right now, they shutting it down. And y'all are sitting here whining and complaining, oh, the Democrats this and Biden this and Harris this. When they sitting here, frankly, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they trying to run a train on America.
No question.
No question.
Maybe that's some language some of y'all might understand. They trying to run a train on America. And so,
let me tell you what.
And some of y'all just sitting here doing this here with your phone, just recording it and not getting in the fight. Real quick, Joy, last comment.
I'm a Black Harvard Law graduate. Harvard is going to suffer from this decision. We had, I think my year, we had 50 to 60 Black law students there. We enriched the school. Some great thinkers. Some of us even show up on the august and esteemed Roland Martin show. Let me tell you what, it is going to be to their disadvantage. Because let me tell you, there were some law schools who did not see a decline in Black entrants. They figured it out. Law schools with strong backgrounds who figured it out. So Harvard is the loser here.
That's right.
Harvard is the loser here, and they're going to see continual declines if they don't figure this out. I just had to say this on behalf of all of my Black classmates. This was a huge error.
But the whole,
what was intended.
But the whole thing is not only to keep Black people out of Harvard, it's to keep them out of high-paying corporate law jobs, keep them out of the federal judiciary, keep them out of all of that. And so folk need to understand the game that's being played. And some of y'all want to sit here and y'all cool with it, okay. But I'm telling you right now, if you Black and you listen to any of these fools, then you deserve everything that comes, because y'all have no idea whatsoever what is about to happen. And as Greg said, we've been here before. So go do me a favor. Go read what those Black Republicans said when they got railroaded with the Great Compromise of 1877. Please, by all means, go see what they had to say with that. Go read what they had to say about those Supreme Court decisions about the civil rights laws in the 1860s and 70s, and then, of course, eventually Plessy versus Ferguson, all of those different things. Oh, we have been here before. And if y'all don't think this is trying to go back to post-Reconstruction and Jim Crow, well, then all this is post-Reconstruction and Jim Crow dressed up in a nice suit. That's all it is. Lauren, Greg, Joe, I appreciate y'all joining us on the panel. Y'all have a happy holiday. This is my last Thursday show before the holidays. I leave for some rest on Sunday, so I will see y'all after the first of the year. Thank you so very much. Have a great Christmas, great Kwanzaa, great New Year's.
You too, Roland. Thanks,
folks. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Hey, folks, thank all of you for watching as well. Do us a favor. Be sure to help us out here. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can also, of course, get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. And, of course, you can be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, RolandMartin.creator-spring.com. Get your shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the Black woman. Folks, that's it. I will see y'all tomorrow right here. Young Dro, you'll hear my interview with him from Hope Global Forums. Look forward to y'all sharing that conversation with y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?